Hello, this is Fred, and today I'm talking with Oliver Rüsing from Karibow. How are you doing, Oliver?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, Fred?
Good, very good, thank you. For the benefit of our viewers and readers, can you talk to us a little bit about Karibow and about yourself?
Okay, the whole project of Karibow started in 1996, and it started as a six-piece band. And we started to write music, but it ended up just like most projects do. People have different interests, and it didn't really work well. And around 2000, it became a two-piece project. And after 1 or 2 more years, I was on my own, and I kept writing stuff, and I kept producing in the studio, and I produced all the albums for the shelves because I really didn't really need the money because I had my job as a teacher, and I did this until 2011 when I got the first German Rock and Pop Award for Men of Rust, and then for Addicted again in 2014, and that was the point when I thought to myself, said to myself, something has to change now, and you should really go public. And yeah, that's what I did. That's what I am. That's what I did then.
Yeah, that's great. Wow, you're about to release your 18th studio album, is that it?
Exactly.
Wow. And this is your third studio album within the last 4 years. It's called From Here to the Impossible. Congratulations.
Thank
Can you describe the album and its concept?
Yeah, the concept behind the album is, the human limitation and the conflict between dreams and big wishes, and the idea of being everything you give yourself the power to be. And on the one hand, the biological restrictions, your lifespan, for example, but also in relationships that you don't get as close to a person as you want to, or the limitations of resources, or the dreams that you have as a young man or a young woman, that you want to change the world and you just don't manage to change everything. Hopefully a lot, but it's this constant struggle between things you want to do, things you want to be, and things you need to accept that may not work. And that's something that keeps me busy in my head all the time. So it was a great subject for me to write about that.
Great. Well, how was the writing process?
I would say that's what I always say, is it's very organic, because I never take things from all the productions and put them together again. That's why there are hundreds of tracks, sleeping on the hard disks from former productions. I always start with something. I start writing, and then it starts to develop just in a very organic way. Just like Keith Emerson said, for example, when he talked about what progressive rock means to him, and he said it's when a musical element starts to develop and it progresses.
Yep.
And in the case of Karibow, it can be that it may be that a song is only 4.5 minutes long, because that's the end of this progression and development, and it's somehow closed and finished. And it's also possible that there's a track which is 34 or 37 minutes long, just like a Letter from the White Room, the second Hall of Fame disc. So I just let it happen, and I'll always change instruments, adding layers to make it as complex as it can.
When you listen to a Karibow album, you can feel some influence, but you can also notice how it's got its own sound. Can you describe the Karibow sound?
Yeah, I would say it has a lot of this wall of sound idea, because it's very complex and it's very dense, and a lot of things are going on in the music. I think it's very complex, because the arrangement is so so very connected. You know, I like the idea of instruments communicating with each other, and I like to bind things. It's very complicated for those who have to play this stuff because there's not much freedom for them to interpret what I did, because everything's question and answers and contrasts and you know, things going up and down all the time. There's so much happening in music that it keeps myself entertained, and that's why I make music. I'm a self-entertainer, and I don't want the things I do to get boring. And this is why there are so many layers and so many ways to listen to Karibow on the surface, I would say, to listen to the beautiful melodies and the hook lines, and maybe even to dance sometimes if it's in 4/4. Or there's also possibility for many of the prog fans to get much deeper into it, to discover all the layers, to discover all the little things hidden in the music. And I think that's what makes Karibow very specific.
Through the years, it has become a four-man band, but you also have many collaborators. Can you tell us how you get to pick the musicians to join force?
Yeah, there are two different. The live band and the albums are two different things. First of all, I'm very proud to have this live band because they're friends, they're great musicians, and they're willing to do all that. Now, one of them, my bass player, once said, to be honest, we're kind of a Karibow cover band because they're playing my stuff.
I like it.
They are part of the process to arrange everything for a live presentation, of course, and they are part of the new album as well as studio musicians. And you know, the other part is the album itself and the contributors, because it all started with Michael Sedler, with my Facebook friendship with Michael Sedler, and so we got in contact. I sent him the Addicted album, and he got back to me after a few months telling me that he's singing along all the time and that he has so many ideas to sing along with this music that he offered me to collaborate on the next album. And that's what he did. We did River together on Holofinium, and then we toured with Saga, and I got in contact with Jim Gilmore and with so many other musicians. Jim is on the new album, and you know, the whole thing just started growing, and Holofinium sold so well. It's almost sold out after half a year. That there were people getting to me asking me if they could be part of the next album, and I got in contact with great musicians like Sean Timms and Marek and Marek Arnold and Mark Trueck, and I think that's it.
Yeah, that's great. I really like the cover of the album. Who did it, and what does it mean?
Yours truly. I did it.
Nice.
I'm doing all the graphic stuff because you know, I once studied art 25 years ago, and you know, I studied painting, and then I worked in the computer graphic industry and the computer games industry, and I did 3D graphics and animations and stuff, and I'm still very much into digital design. And that's why I still like to do it myself, because you know, everything I do has a concept.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm still, maybe that's a little old school, but I still like to have a digipack, a CD in my hands. I like to open a booklet.
Yeah.
I'd rather like to open up a vinyl cover, because I never did that with Karibow, for Karibow, because I would probably have to crowdfund it before. But you know, I still, for me, there's a connection between the physical element and the things I hear, and that's the main reason why I did this. And you know, what you can see on the new cover is this woman from behind, and it's always the same woman. She reappears in the whole booklet. And there's a friend of Mark Trueck. He's doing a video for the song "The Impossible" now, and he asked me if I could send him some images of this woman, shown from the front. And I said there is none, and I didn't want it because I want all the things around her surrounding her to change. I want this aspect of constant change. I wanted her as, like just like Rodin's thinker, just very still and sitting there thinking about what's going on here, and everything else is changing all the time. That has a lot to do with the idea of the impossible, because as human beings we have to accept that things change. We have to accept that we change, our faces change, our bodies change, we get older and everything. And sometimes it's hard to take, of course. But that's the main subject of the album. And this woman, this girl, I called her Sarah just to have the name to work with. She's probably the main actor, but on the other hand, of course, it's myself. And that's why she's on the cover, and all this stuff in the background is, these broken houses, and everything's grown on these houses, and there are these tires, broken stuff, and very surreal.
Okay, well, great stuff. Very nice.
Thank you.
Your previous album, Olofinium, we can see the poster behind you there, was extremely well received by critiques and fans around. It was on a lot of people's top 10 lists in 2016. Because of this, was it a challenge to write the new album?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My musical history has so much to do with myself, and not very much to do with the public, that I told you I was always making music for myself, so I never needed to care about any reactions from the outside. And of course things get more complicated because you can't keep yourself from thinking about the expectations other people may have after such a positive reaction. And but I tried not to think about it when I recorded From Here to the Impossible, because when I wrote From Here to the Impossible, because of course I wanted to do something different, but my experience is that when I write something new and I present it to the band, they always say it sounds like Karibow, and I said, oh, but there's a saxophone in it. I never had that before. I have a female voice in it, and they say, yeah, but it's like Karibow. So Oliver Wenzler of PPR, my record label, he said, I will take everything you do. If it sounds a little bit like Karibow, the people will buy it. So I've felt very secure in a way, very safe. And for me, the new album is an experiment. But the first reactions, the feedback I got from people who bought it, who pre-ordered it, and we sent it to, they were absolutely fascinated. And the first reactions were, it's even better than Olofinium. So what more can I expect? Wow. And I'm so grateful for these reactions, because you never know as an artist. You do what you like and you do what you are pleased with. It's the best you can do. And I've always tried to be authentic and honest with my music. I couldn't do anything else because I did this for such a long time. And so far, I'm more than honest. I'm more than happy. Sorry, that people seem to like the new one.
That's great. Who are your influences?
Oh, it sounds funny, but the first band I really loved, the first record I bought, was the Bay City Rollers. It's may not be a strong influence, but 1 or 2 years later, I started to listen to Motorhead because, of course, I wanted to to feel rebellion, and I wanted loud music, and I listened to Venom and everything. And then I think the first really big influence was Kiss. And after a few years, I ran into Saga's album Worlds Apart. And I had a real, I would say, enlightenment when I listened to Marillion for the first time.
Okay.
And that was when I think my first prog record, let's say Saga, was prog too, but not as much as Misplaced Childhood. That was my first real deep influence. Made a real impact on my idea of music, because I had my headphones on, was lying on my bed listening, and I completely blown away by just maybe that's what I'm trying to copy. The relationship of all the instruments. It was the first time when I listened to Pete Trewavas playing his bass, that the bass to me seemed to be as important as the drums, as important as the vocals, and I really loved how all the instruments related to each other. And I would say Marillion was the first and the most important prog influence in my music career.
Nice. Can we expect like a best of at some point? I know you have one already, but maybe a new one.
Yeah, I should do that. There's so many people are asking for the whole back catalog, but it takes time to reissue all the albums because I want them to be on the same sound level, like
Yeah.
as Holophonium and the new albums, because people got used to that, and I think the quality is not too bad. But I would have to work with the older recordings, and my aim is to re-release about one older album per year, and maybe if I can make it one new. People were asking to get some kind of overview and to see what I did in 2000, what I did in 2004 and 7, because there were different things. There were soundtracks for a movie, and there was some the music around the year 2000 was more like melodic rock, and then it got prog and got even more prog now. Yeah, well, I should think about that. But my new plans are to do an album. Working title is The Unchosen, because there are so many titles sleeping on my hard disks. Because I never worked with the old stuff again, and addicted, for example, over 60, 65 songs, and I picked, I think, 17, and the rest it's just left over, And I thought could be a good idea to take some of this stuff from between 2011 and 2017 and release an album with these songs. If I can make it, maybe even before Christmas this year. But I can't promise anything. But I'll try to. But I also think about a compilation. Yes.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. You've talked a bit about progressive rock. What is progressive rock to you? Like, I know it's a hard question, but
Yeah, I know, and all these discussions going on. I think it's much easier in North America. When I released "Addicted," this album was so wonderful, so well accepted in the U.S., and it still sells very well on CD Baby in the U.S. and in Canada. And there was so many discussions going on in Europe. Is this really prog? Is there enough 7/8 rhythms in it? Is there enough changes, time changes? I don't care that much because I told you I like to give myself the freedom. That is progressive for me,
yeah, okay.
to let different influences come into my music. Of course, I like it to be complicated sometimes because it is self-entertaining when it's complicated sometimes. But I don't want to be part of. At least I don't want to be the victim of these discussions. Because I know there are a lot of people who like Karibow, even though they're not too much into prog, because they like melodic music, and there are a lot of prog fans who like Karibow, even though there are songs like "The Cry," which is 4 minutes, it's in 4/4, you can dance to it. But there's always a lot of passion in it, and I think progressive rock has a lot to do with passion and emotions, and put all your heart in, and your is there a word like authenticity?
Yeah.
Like to be authentic, to do all this, to put all this in the songs, and to be honest with it. I think that has much to do with the vibe of progressive rock music. And of course, that's what Karibow is. It has so much to do with passion for music, passion for emotions and expression. That's probably the most progressive side of Karibow.
Great. You're now getting ready and rehearsing for a Night of the Prague Festival.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how are things going, and what can the people expect during the concert, if you can share?
Well, what they can expect, the best Karibow show ever, of course. What else what else do you expect me to say? Of course, I will do my best to do a great show. It's a wonderful location. We're all very, very happy to play there. You meet everybody who is somehow important and interested in prog in Europe, and there are even people coming over from North America to be part of the festival. So it will be I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time. We'll have a 60-minute set, and on the same day we have the official release of From Here to the Impossible. So this will be a wonderful party, and I'm looking forward to a great gig, I hope, to wonderful music, and also to listening to the other bands, to get in contact with, guys like Marillion and Frank Carducci, and that's Comedy of Errors. My first time meet my friend Joe Kearney in person, and there's so many people I really like to meet. That I think we'll have a wonderful time there, and I'm doing a lot of interviews too, of course, and talk to the fans, and so let's hope for good weather.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, listen, we're at the end of the interview, but just before I let you go, we at Profile we like to ask questions with only one word answer. So if you want to play the game, let's go. What's your favorite track on the album?
The Impossible.
The Impossible. What is your favorite song of all time?
Romeo and Juliet of Dire Straits.
Nice. How many songs were originally written for the album but were left out?
Originally written 24, and there are 11 songs on the album.
Okay. One artist you wish could or would collaborate on your album?
Peter Gabriel.
Wow. Who has the most beautiful voice in prog?
That's a hard question. I like Monique van der Kolk. That's why I have her on the album. I think she has a wonderful female voice, and she's that angelic counterpart to what I'm doing in the songs we're doing together.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice. Yeah. Where is your number one fan base?
I think France.
France.
You wanted one word. I would also say Germany and the US, of course, but France. Yeah,
good.
Many people.
You play all instruments, but which one is your favorite?
Drums.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's what I expected. And how long until next Karibow's album?
Give me 1 year.
Well, that's it. That's it, Oliver. Thank you so much for accepting the invite. It was a pleasure to meet you and talk. Anything you'd like to add? Yeah. Just
thank you all. Well, thanks to this wonderful fan base I found via Facebook, and that's the most important thing I want to say. I'm nothing without the fans.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful. So also to people like you who are doing interviews and to make it possible for us to speak to the people. Thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome. From Here to the Impossible will be released on July 15th. It's available. It's still available on pre-order, or I think the pre-order is pretty much over. Eh?
It's stopped today. But okay, if you order it now, you will probably get it when it's released on July 15th. So
yeah, so it's available through Karibow's web shop, Progressive Promotion Records, CD Baby, as well as Amazon, if I recall correctly.
You'll get it everywhere within the next week.
So congratulations and best of luck with everything which is next.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Cheers.
Thank you for the interview.
We'll never laugh.